Hi students, in this module we will discuss about consecutive reactions, or it is also called as sequential or series reactions. Consecutive reactions or sequential reactions. For example, let us take A gives rise to B with a rate constant of K1. B gives rise to C with a rate constant of K2. Like radioactive disintegrations are consecutive or sequential reactions. Radioactive disintegrations or consecutive or sequential reactions. For example, let us take another example, epoxide. This with a rate constant of K1 could produce CH3CHO, which is an acetaldehyde, with a rate constant of K2, which can produce CH4 plus CO. Is one of the other sequential reaction. Here the epoxides in the presence of, with a rate constant of K1 produces acetaldehyde, which with a rate constant of K2 could produce a methane and carbon monoxide. This is another example of a sequential reaction. The radioactive disintegrations, one radioactive element will get converted into another radioactive element. That radioactive element will get converted into another radioactive element. Is also a sequential or series reaction. Now, let us see the kinetics of this kind of reactions. Of course, which is also a first order reaction. A to B it is a first order reaction. B to C also it is a first order reaction. Let us consider the kinetics of this kind of consecutive reactions. Now let us take A gives rise to B with a rate constant of K1. B gives rise to C with a rate constant of K2. Initially, when T equal to 0, at T equal to 0, let us consider concentration of a reactant A to be A. This is 0 and this is also 0 at T equal to 0. Now, let us consider at an instant T concentration at an instant T. This will be A minus X. Some X amount if it has reacted. Let us consider the amount of A remaining is A minus X. Let us consider the concentration of B will be Y at that instant T. Concentration of C would be Z at that instant T. Here we can observe that remaining concentration of A is A minus X because X amount has reacted. Remaining concentration of B at that instant is Y, and remaining concentration of C at that instant is Z. Now let us take what is reaction rate from A to B. It is considered as in exponential form. You can observe that A minus X equal to A e power minus K1T. The remaining concentration of A at an instant T is A minus X. We have already derived this in a first order reaction that A minus X must be equal to A e power minus K1T. where A is initial concentration. Now, keep this as an equation 1. We want to find out the remaining concentration of B at that instant. Let us consider it to be what we have taken the remaining concentration of B at that instant, D. So, if you take dy by dt, dy by dt must be equal to, in this forward direction from A to B, B is produced. That is, what is rate of reaction from A to B? K1 into A minus X. Rate of reaction from A to B is produced from A to B. Remember that from A to B, B is produced. So what is its rate? K1 into A minus X. From B to C. From B to C. What has happened to the B? It has been consumed. So B has got disappeared from B to C. From A to B it is produced. B to C it is consumed. So minus, what is rate of reaction from B to C? K2 into, what is the concentration of B at an instant T? At an instant T. What is concentration of A is A minus X, concentration of B is Y, and concentration of C is J. That's what we have taken already. So which implies, what is rate of reaction from B to C? It is K2Y. So dy by dt must be equal to K1 into A minus X minus K2Y. Here what is A minus X could be taken as A e power minus K1t. So dy by dt plus K2Y. If you get this K2Y this side, it becomes plus K2Y is equal to K1 into, what could be A minus X to be taken as? A e power minus K1t. So dy by dt plus K2Y is equal to K1 into A e power minus K1t. Multiply both sides by e power K2t. Let us see that. So first note down up to this completely, and then conditionally check this, that we are going to multiply this equation by e power K2t. So multiply both sides by e power K2t. So you are going to multiply both sides by e power K2t. So what we will be getting here? E power K2t into dy by dt plus K2y must be equal to K1 A e power minus K1t into e power K2t. So both sides we have multiplied by e power K2t. Now here, multiply this, what we will get? Dy by dt into e power K2t plus K2y into e power K2t must be equal to K1 into A e power, as the base is same, minus K1 plus K2, or e power K2 minus K1 into t. So when the base is same, you can add these two. What we will get here? K2 minus K1 into t. Now here in this case, remember that we have a formula that differentiation of uv must be equal to differentiation of uv by dt must be equal to differentiation of u by dt into v plus u into differentiation of v by dt. This is a formula for the differentiation of two variable conditions. If two variables has been differentiated, v into du by dt. First differentiating this with respect to t, and then keeping u as it is, differentiation of v with respect to dt can be done. This is a formula of in mathematics for differentiating two variables. So similarly here, suppose if we check differential of y e power k2t with respect to dt, what we will get here? This is equal to differentiation of y with respect to dt into e power k2t. This as it is plus. Now taking y as it is, y into what is differential of e power k2t? Remember that always differentiation of e power ax with respect to dx must be equal to, we can say that here it is x a into that constant multiplied a into e power ax. Differential of e power ax with respect to dx must be equal to a into e power ax. So what is differentiation of e power k to t? k2 into e power k2t. So instead of a we have here k2, instead of x we have t. Remember that instead of a here we have k2, instead of x we have t, because we are differentiating it with respect to dt. So remember that when you differentiate with respect to dt, what we will get? dy by dt into e power k2t plus y into k2 into e power k2t. So if you observe this completely, this is nothing but you can compare this with this, dy by dt into e power k2t plus y into k2 into e power k2t. So this could be written as, from this as differential of y e power k2t by dt must be equal to this complete thing. We have found that differential of y e power k2t by dt must be equal to dy by dt into e power k2t plus y into k2 into e power k2t. So which implies differential of y e power k2t by dt is nothing but this complete expansion. So this must be equal to k1 into a into e power k2 minus k1 into t. So here taking this dt this side, what we will get? Differential of y e power k2t must be equal to k1 into a e power k2 minus k1t dt. Taking the integration on both sides. So completely check the condition once again here. We can observe that this is the equation we got for dy by dt. dy by dt must be equal to k1 into a minus x minus k2y. A minus x could be written as a e power minus k1t. For that equation k2y, when we get this side and when we multiply this by e power k2t, we get this equation. From the previous equation you can check this how we will get it. Now here if you multiply this with e power k2t, we can observe that this complete thing becomes a differential of y e power k2t by dt. According to this formula, duv by dt must be equal to v into du by dt plus u into dv by dt. So here when you integrate this on both sides, let us check this up to here clearly, you can note it down. Then we will see the integral part of this. Now, when you check the integration of this, integral of dx must be equal to x. We know integral of dx must be equal to x. Similarly, integral of differential of y e power k to t must be equal to, what we will get? Y e power k to t. This is in the place of x. So, integral of dx equal to x. Integral of dy e power k to t must be equal to y e power k to t. So from this, what we will get on LHS side? Y e power k to t must be equal to y, say differential of integral of differential of y e power k to t must be equal to, according to that formula, integral of dx must be equal to x. So which implies integral of dy e power k to t must be equal to y e power k to t. This is the integration part of LHSL. Let us see the integral of RHSL. Generally, integral of e power ax dx must be equal to e power ax divided by whatever is the constant term here, that should be divided. So this is another formula to be noted. So you can observe here that integral of e power ax dx must be equal to e power ax by a. Differential of e power ax must be equal to a into e power ax. Whereas integral of e power ax dx must be equal to e power ax by a. So here when you integrate this, this is constants. Will k1 into a. Will write as it is. What is integration of e power k2 minus k1 t dt? Here you can observe instead of a we have k2 minus k1. Here instead of a what we have here? k2 minus k1. So here this is into what is that? We'll get e power k2 minus k1 into t divided by k2 minus k1. According to this formula, instead of a we have k2 minus k1 plus c. Always in integration, one of the side we should write c if we take it without the limits. Now to find out c, what is our regular procedure at t equal to 0? Nothing has reacted, so by is not produced, so y is also equal to 0. You can see in the initial condition that at initial time when t equal to 0, y must be equal to 0. Apply this to in this equation to get what is c. Y is 0 into e power k2 0 is equal to k1 a by k2 minus k1 into e power k2 minus k1 into 0 plus c. So 0 into something is 0. This is 0. This is equal to k1 a by k2 minus k1 e power k2 minus k1 into 0 is 0 plus c. What is e power 0? 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So what we will get here? 0 is equal to k1 a by k2 minus k1 plus c. That's what we have got. E power 0 is 1. So which implies c is equal to minus k1 a by k2 minus k1. So what is c must be? k1 a by k2 minus k1 a by k2 minus k1. Let us substitute this in this equation instead of c. What is c? Minus k1 a by k2 minus k1. We are going to substitute this in the place of c. And let us see what is the equation we will get. So every time you have to neatly note down the every derivation and then you should come for the next step. Now c is equal to, when we substitute what we will get, y e power k2t must be equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power k2 minus k1t. Instead of c, what we can write here? Minus k1a by k2 minus k1. Now, if you check here, k1a by k2 minus k1 is a common term, which implies y e power k2t must be equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power k2 minus k1 into t minus 1. Now, here what we want is, what is y equal to? Already remaining concentration of a we have found, that is a minus x. A minus x equal to a e power minus k1. It is a regular first order exponential form. Now we want to y. What is concentration of B at an instant t is 1. We need to find out what is 1. Now, y is equal to, now let us check here itself, y by taking e power k to t this side, what we are going to get. Y is equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into, this could be written as e power k2t into e power minus k1t. From that only we got this. By, divided by, this side we have to, when you get this side, it becomes e power k2t divided by e power k2t minus 1 by e power k2t. Now, therefore, y must be equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power k2t gets cancelled, e power minus k1t minus, if this comes to the numerator, it becomes e power minus k2t. So what is y is equal to? k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. So here y must be equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. So this is y1. Now we have found already remaining concentration of A, that is A minus x, and we have already found the remaining concentration of B, that is y is equal to k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. Initial concentration A must be equal to concentration of A at that instant plus concentration of B at that instant plus concentration of C at that instant. So here A must be equal to, what is concentration of A at that instant? A minus x. Plus what is concentration of B at that instant? Y. Plus what is concentration of C at that instant? Z. So here you can write Z must be equal to A minus x minus y. If you get this side, A minus x minus y, that is equal to A minus A e power minus k1t minus, what is y value here? You can substitute it as k1a by, so as it needs the place, what is y we have derived? k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. So this will be equal to z, because z is A is nothing but concentration of A at that instant, concentration of B at that instant plus concentration of C at that instant. So which implies here A must be equal to A minus x plus y plus z. So z must be equal to A minus x minus y. So A minus, what is A minus x? A e power minus k1t. What is y value? Minus k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. That must be z. So taking A as common in everything, you can get 1 minus e power minus k1t minus k1 by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. Now, we have got what is concentration of A at an instant t, what is concentration of B at an instant t, what is concentration of C at an instant t. So all A minus x, y how to get it, z how to get it, we have checked all this. Now consecutive reaction graphically how it could be expressed. First, let us see that. If we take concentration versus time graph. Concentration in y-axis, time in x-axis. What happens to the concentration of A with respect to time? It gets decreased because in this reaction A is getting converted into B. So naturally, what should happen to the concentration of reactant A? It should get decreased. So graphically we can say that concentration of A exponentially decreases with time. Now what happens to concentration of B with time? At first from A to B it gets increased. When it gets converted from B to C it gets decreased. So we can say that it gets increased, reaches certain maximum and gets decreased. So what will happen to the concentration of B with respect to time? So anyway, this could be lower than this or higher than this. What happens to concentration of C with respect to time? We can say that concentration of C naturally increases with time. So this indicates concentration, how it changes with time. This indicates concentration of B, how it changes with time. This indicates concentration of C, how it changes with time. What happens to concentration of C with respect to time? As it is only produced from B, it gets increased with time. So this represents the consecutive reactions concentration to time graph. So this is graph of consecutive reaction. Now let us see what is the Tmax. Now at Tmax, dy by dt must be equal to 0. Now we already know what is y equal to. What is y equal to? We have derived k1a by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. Now we will take dy by dt, that is differentiation of y with respect to t. So what we will get, dy by dt must be equal to dy by dt must be equal to, this is a constant term, k1a by k2 minus k1. If we differentiate, already we have seen differential of e power ax by dx must be equal to e power ax into a. So similarly here, differentiation of e power minus k1t with respect to dt must be equal to e power minus k1t into minus k1 minus of, we can get here, for that differentiation is e power minus k2t into minus k2. So this will be dy by dt. This dy by dt must be equal to 0 at Tmax. So at Tmax, this must be equal to this must be equal to 0. This dy by dt must be equal to 0 in the sense, here k1 is a constant and it could not be 0. A is a constant, it could not be 0. K2 minus K1 could not be equal to 0 because A to B rate is indicated by K1, B to C rate is indicated by K2. So K2 minus K1 also could not be 0. So here, what is the term that must be 0 here? This term could be equal to 0. Then only K1A by K2 minus K1 into this will be equal to 0. So which implies minus K1 e power minus K1t plus minus of minus becomes plus K2 e power minus K2t must be equal to 0. So which implies K1 e power minus k1t must be equal to k2 e power minus k2t. If you take this side. Now, what is k2 by k1 must be equal to k2 by k1 must be equal to e power minus k1t by e power minus k2t. Now, this could be written as k2 by k1 must be equal to e power minus k1t. If we have taken this to the numerator, this becomes into e power k2t. If it comes to the numerator, minus k2t becomes plus k2t. So here, which implies k2 by k1 must be equal to e power, this can be written as k2 minus k1 into t. Now, by taking n on both sides, so you can observe here that this term could not be 0. So this term could be equal to 0. So we have taken k1 e power minus k1t must be equal to k2 e power minus k2t. What is k2 by k1 from this equation? E power minus k1t by e power minus k2t. So which implies k2 by k1 must be equal to e power minus k1t. If this comes to the numerator, it becomes e power plus k2t. So k2 by k1 must be equal to e power k2 minus k1 into t. Now, if you take log base e on both sides, if you take ln or log base e on both sides, log base e k2 by k1 must be equal to k2 minus k1 into t. As it is at t max, you can take that at t max only we have taken dy by dt equal to 0. So, as t is equal to t max, by substituting it as t equal to t max here, what we will get here? Log base e k2 by k1 by k2 minus k1 is equal to t max. So, generally, in consecutive type of reaction, they ask you to calculate k2 and k1 will be given to you, and they'll ask you to calculate t max. What is how to calculate t max? T max equal to log base e k2 by k1 by k2 minus k1 is the t max value. So expression for remaining concentration of A must be equal to A e power minus k1t. That we will get in the first order exponential form equation itself. Remaining concentration of B at an instant Y must be equal to k1A by k2 minus k1 into e power minus k1t minus e power minus k2t. We have seen how it could be derived. Now concentration of C at that instant must be equal to total initial concentration A minus concentration of A at an instant minus concentration of B at an instant. So if you substitute that, you will get concentration of C at an instant t, that is Z value. Now what is T max to be taken at T max condition? Dy by dt must become equal to 0. So when it is taken that dy by dt must be equal to 0, you can see that on differentiation we will get T max equal to ln k2 by k1 by k2 minus k1 will be the T max, where k1 and k2 will be given in the question itself. So be careful while taking the formula of T max. Now let us see the other kind of reactions, that is opposing reactions or reversible reactions. Kinetics of opposing or reversible reactions. Let us see the kinetics of opposing or reversible reactions. You know what is meant by reversible reaction? A reaction that could happen in both sides is called as reversible reaction. Concentration initially at T equal to 0. Let us take this is A, this is 0. Now rate constant of forward reaction is K1, rate constant of backward reaction will take it as K2. This could be expressed as Kf, Kb also. Remember that Kf is rate constant of forward reaction, Kb is rate constant of backward reaction. Concentration initially is A0. Concentration at an instant T. We can take this as A minus X. Concentration at equilibrium. We know at equilibrium the concentrations becomes constant. Remember that at equilibrium, when we say that a reaction has attained equilibrium, if the observable properties like concentration, density, color, pressure, all this when it becomes constant, then only we say that an equation has attained an equilibrium. So concentration at equilibrium would be A minus Xg. Suppose Xg has reacted, Xg of B will be produced. So now in this consideration, if you take at equilibrium, what happens at equilibrium when we say that it has attained equilibrium? When the rate of forward reaction becomes equal to rate of backward reaction. What is rate of forward reaction? K1 into A minus Xg at equilibrium. K1 into A minus Xg is the rate of forward reaction. Now what is rate of backward reaction? K2 into Xg. So rate of backward reaction is K2 Xg, which implies K2 must be equal to K1 into A minus Xg by Xg. So what is K2 must be taken as K1 into A minus Xg by Xg. Must be the K2 expression, K1 into A minus Xg by Xg. Now let us take this at an instant T. What is dx by dt at an instant T we will take now. So but K2 must be equal to K1 into A minus Xg by Xg. Now at an instant T, dx by dt must be equal to K1 into A minus Xg minus K2 into Xg. So here dx by dt, if we take in the forward direction, it is K1 into A minus Xg. The backward direction condition B getting produced as A is K2 into Xg. So dx by dt must be equal to K1 into A minus Xg minus K2 into Xg. This must be equal to K1 into A minus Xg minus K2 can be taken as K1 into A minus Xg by Xg into Xg. So at equilibrium. So this has to be taken not at equilibrium. This is at an instant T. So this must be taken to be at an instant to be K1 into A minus X minus K2 into X. So this must be equal to K1 into A minus X minus K2 could be written as K1 into A minus Xg by Xg into X. Now take the LCM over here. What we will get? K1 into A minus X into Xg minus K1 into A minus Xg into X by Xg. If you expand it, what we will get now here? You can write it as, this could be written as K1 A Xg. K1 A Xg minus K1 into X into Xg. K1 into X into Xg minus of, you can observe this to be minus of K1 into A into X. K1 into A into X. Minus of minus becomes plus k1 into xe into x divided by xe. Now what will get cancelled? Minus k1x into xe plus k1 into xe gets cancelled. So from this, what is dx by dt equal to? We will get, here we can get dx by dt must be equal to, what is remaining here? k1a xe minus k1a x. k1a xe minus k1a x divided by xe. So here from this, so you can note down clearly up to here, and then we will see the continuation of the derivation of kinetics of opposing reaction or reversible reaction. Now here, what is that we are going to get? Dx by dt must be equal to, dx by dt must be equal to, k1a is common, xe minus x by xe. Now taking variable separable method for integration, same variables on same side, k1a by xe is constant. So if you get dx by xe minus x must be equal to k1a by xe into dt, taking integration on both sides. Now do you remember this dx by xe minus x can be taken as ln minus ln xe minus x, same as already we have derived in a first order reaction dx by a minus x. Integration of dx by a minus x, what we have got the proof there? Minus ln a minus x. Because what we said, if differentiation of denominator is in the numerator, then its integration if you have done, you should get ln of denominator. So here minus ln xe minus x must be equal to k1a by xe into t. Integral of dt is t plus c. How to find out the c? Generally, c can be found as at t equal to 0, the reactor amount will be equal to 0. How to find the c? And then substitute the c in this equation. To find c, what we will do? At t equal to 0, x equal to 0, minus ln xe minus 0 must be equal to k1a by xe into 0 plus c, which implies c must be equal to minus ln xe. So what is c must be equal to? Minus ln xe. Substitute that this in this equation as c. What we will get? Minus ln xe minus x. Substituting c as minus ln xe. What we will get if you substitute in that? Minus ln xe minus x must be equal to k1a t by xe minus ln xe. So if you get that this side, what we will get? ln xe minus ln xe minus x must be equal to k1a t by xe. So this could be written as k1 is equal to xe by at ln xe by xe minus x. This is a constant k1 of opposing or reversible reactions. k1 equal to xe by at ln xe by xe minus x. Now, what is k2 is equal to? What we have derived in terms of k1? k2 equal to k1 into a minus xe by xe. Do you remember that? k2 is equal to k1 into a minus xe by xe. So, which implies k2 must be equal to, instead of k1 you can write xe by at. xe by at ln xe by xe minus x instead of k1 into a minus xe by xe. So here xe gets cancelled. So which implies K2 must be equal to A minus Xg by AT ln Xg by Xg minus X. Now, remember what is K1 and K2 in opposing reactions. Expression for K1 must be equal to Xg by AT into ln Xg by Xg minus X. K2 must be equal to A minus Xg by AT into ln Xg by Xg minus X. So this is K1 and K2 expressions for opposing or reversible reactions. This could be asked as an expression itself in the examination point of view. Or what is relation between K1 and K2 in such reaction also could be asked. Now this is kinetics of opposing reactions. So if you take the graph as usual for a reversible reaction, you can observe that concentration of A decreases with time, concentration of B increases with time. Here this indicates the equilibrium status. This indicates the equilibrium status. Now, remember a point here that if they ask you to calculate particularly T half average, 1 by T half average must be equal to 1 by T half 1 plus 1 by T half 2. So, this is very important for the problems part. 1 by T half average must be equal to 1 by T half 1 plus 1 by T half 2. If they give, particularly if you take a parallel reaction, A gives rise to B and A gives rise to C. We can observe that for this reaction half-life period is T half 1 and for this reaction if half-life period is T half 2, then T half average to be calculated, 1 by T half average must be equal to 1 by T half 1 plus 1 by T half 2, because we have seen already K is equal to, in this kind of reaction, K1 plus K2. When K is equal to K1 plus K2, K is 0.693 by T half average. K1 is 0.693 by T half 1 plus K2 is 0.693 by T half 2. So if 0.693 gets cancelled, you will get 1 by T half average equal to 1 by T half 1 plus 1 by T half 2 for a parallel reaction. Now let us see bimolecular collision theory of reaction rates. This bimolecular collision theory of reaction rates was proposed by Max Trotz in 1916 and William Lewis in 1918. They have explained that about this collision theory, according to which how a chemical reaction occurs and what will be its rate, all those things were explained in this theory. So according to that, reactant molecules will collide with each other and only 1 out of every billion collisions will be effective as it reaches certain energy status called as threshold energy status, and that would be converted into products. So it was proposed by Max Trotz in 1960 and William Lewis in 1980. They have explained collision theory of reaction rate to explain about how a chemical reaction occurs and what is the rate of a reaction. It was proposed to explain about how a chemical reaction occurs and what is the rate of reaction. So that is the purpose of collision theory of reaction rates. So this explains about mainly how a chemical reaction occurs and what can be the rate of reaction, and let us see how they have explained this collision theory of reaction rates. As we said before, in a container, when we take the reactant molecules, these reactant molecules will collide with each other. The reactant molecules will collide with each other, and only 1 out of every billion collisions leads to attain threshold energy, and they only get converted into products. So the remaining reactant molecules just bounce off from each other. So according to this theory, reactant molecules collide with each other and approximately 1 out of every billion collisions, 1 out of every billion collisions attains certain energy called as threshold energy. So all the reactant molecules which are colliding will not attain this energy. Only 1 out of every billion collisions has a chance to get this threshold energy, where it is quite highly unstable, and its bonds are partially broken. And hence they get converted into products. So the remaining collisions, in the remaining cases, the reactant molecules just bounce off from each other, and you can observe that only these collisions or threshold energy will get converted into products, and hence only these are effective collisions. Remaining are ineffective collisions or unfruitful collisions. Remaining reactant molecules bounce off from each other. So you can observe reactant molecules collides with each other, and approximately only 1 out of every billion collisions attain certain energy called as threshold energy, where it is quite highly unstable and its bonds are partially broken, and hence they get converted into products. Remaining reactant molecules just bounce off from each other. So we say that only these collisions are effective collisions. Collisions occurring at threshold energy or effective collisions. Remaining are considered to be ineffective collisions. So here we can say that the energy required to activate the reactant molecules to reach threshold energy is called as activation energy. Therefore, the energy required by reactant molecules to reach threshold energy is called as activation energy. Which is, as we know, it's represented as E, and therefore A must be equal to threshold energy minus energy of colliding reactant molecules. So here we can say that activation energy must be equal to threshold energy minus energy of colliding reactant molecules. Here now let us suppose let us consider Z is the number of collisions of reacting molecules per cc per second when the concentration of reactant is 1 mole per liter. So if you consider concentration of reactant to be 1 mole per liter, if Z is the number of collisions made by reacting molecules per cc per second, then we can say that then K must be equal to Z into Q. Here we know K is rate constant, Z is number of collisions of reacting molecules per cc per second. Here Q is just fraction of reacting molecules activated or which got converted into products. So Q indicates the fraction of reacting molecules that has been activated or fraction of reacting molecules got converted into products. So here Q actually must be equal to Q is equal to K by Z. So if K value and Z value is given, if they ask you to calculate the fraction of reaction that has occurred, Q must be equal to K by Z. Now let us see how to calculate the Z. How to calculate this Z value, which is considered as a collision frequency, that is number of collisions made by reacting molecules per cc per second. Now let us see how to calculate this. According to kinetic molecular theory of gases, according to kinetic molecular theory of gases, when container contains same kind of reactant molecules, when there is same kind of reacting molecules, when there is same kind of reacting molecules, then Z must be equal to, according to kinetic molecular theory of gases, when we have same kind of reacting molecules in the container, then Z must be equal to pi sigma square V n star square. Here we know what is Z1. It is a collision frequency when there is same kind of molecules. Pi value we know it is 3.14. So sigma is called as collision diameter. Sigma is actually collision diameter. How to calculate the collision diameter of two reacting molecules? This is from center of nuclei of one molecule to the other molecule is considered to be collision diameter. So from here to here it is considered to be sigma. Here NB is average velocity of reacting molecules. V is average velocity. N star is total number of molecules, reacting molecules present per cc. Total number of reacting molecules, present per cc is considered to be N star. So if there is the same kind of reacting molecules in the container, then according to KMT, the collision frequency Z1 must be equal to pi sigma square V into N star square, where sigma is considered to be collision diameter, V is average velocity, N star is total number of reacting molecules present per cc. Now, if there are two different kind of reacting molecules present in the container, let us consider a case if there are two different kind of reacting molecules present in a container. Then Z of the two reacting molecules must be equal to, we can take N1 star, which is the number of reacting molecules of first kind, into N2 star into sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2 the whole square. Average collision diameter has to be taken here. So sigma 1 is the collision diameter of first kind of molecule. Sigma 2 is the collision diameter of second kind of molecule, into square root of 8 pi RT into M2 plus M1 by M2 into M1. So this is the collision frequency when there are two different kind of reactant molecules colliding with each other in a container. Now, so K equal to Z cube. If at all, if it is one kind of molecules present in the container, you can take Z equal to Z1 condition. If there are two different kind of molecules present, then you can use Z1 comma 2. So whichever is the condition case, from that you have to take the Z value. Now let us see. Suppose N dash is the number of molecules, number of reacting molecules that are activated or reach threshold energy state and will get converted into products. N dash is the number of molecules that are activated or reach threshold energy state and get converted into products. Then it was observed that N dash is equal to N star into e power minus Ea by RT. Here N star is the total number of reacting molecules present per cc. N dash is the number of reacting molecules which are successful to get converted into products. So N dash by N star equal to e power minus Ea by RT is nothing but it is equal to Q. So Q is equal to e power minus Ea by RT. N dash by N star indicates fraction of molecules that are activated. Anyway, we said Q is nothing but fraction of molecules that are activated. So which implies Q must be equal to e power minus Ea by RT. Next, we will see that here already we know K equal to Z into Q. Now we know Q is equal to e power minus Ea by RT, which implies K must be equal to Z into e power minus Ea by RT. If we compare this with Arrhenius equation, on comparing it with Arrhenius equation, what is Arrhenius equation? K equal to A e power minus Ea by RT, which implies A must be equal to Z. Here you can observe that K equal to Z e power minus Ea by RT. Here K equal to A e power minus Ea by RT. So A must be equal to Z. Therefore, fraction of reacting molecules got converted into products, or fraction of molecules activated can be taken as K by A also, instead of only K by Z. If Z is given, we will take K by Z. If A is calculated, we can take it as K by A, which is of course equal to e power minus Ea by RT. So this is the fraction of successful collisions also, because only successful collisions will get converted into products. So remember this, which is an important point for competitive exams. K by A calculations will be asked, which is fraction of molecules that are activated. Now here if we observe that this theoretical calculations of K value is not coinciding with experimental value of K. It is having a discrepancy of 10 power 9 times. Theoretical value is higher than experimental value. So we can observe here theoretical values of 10 power 9 times higher than experimental value. Therefore, it was taken that K equal to Pz e power minus Ea by RT. Here P is called as probability factor. Which is of order 10 power minus which is of order 10 power minus 9 times, such that theoretical value is higher than experimental value by approximately 10 power 9 times. So if you multiply it by P, we get the exact value of experimental values. So K must be equal to, can be taken as Pz e power minus Ea by RT. This is the terms to calculate the rate constant of a reaction. So we have seen that in biomolecular collision theory of reaction rates, how a chemical reaction occurs and what is the rate of a reaction. So how a chemical reaction occurs? Out of every billion collisions of reacting molecules will become successful. That is, it attains threshold energy and gets converted into products. So we can observe here that fraction of activated molecules is equal to K by Z or K by A. So here how to calculate Z value when there is only one kind of molecule, how to calculate Z value when there is two kinds of molecules, we have checked that. And as well as we can say that absolutely to get the correct experimental value, K calculation should be taken as K equal to Pz e power minus Ea by RT. Then we get Arrhenius factor or pre-exponential factor A is equal to Pz, which will be the correct value to calculate the A value, because Arrhenius equation is K equal to A e power minus Ea by RT. Whereas the rate constant from Max Stratz and William Lewis collision theory, we are getting it as K equal to Pz e power minus Ea by RT. So which implies A must be equal to Pz. So we can here, you can check up to the module 11 carefully and clearly, such that in module 12 we will do the related graphs of zero order, first order, second order reactions, and we'll continue with the important kind of problems which is useful for your competitive exams. So prepare well for up to module 11 to understand module 12 problems.